I don't even know like how to say it without saying it. I'm watching the news, almost like the aftermath, the updates. It's trending. I'm watching it in live time and in taped and rewind time. For things that stick out, but not in a way of I don't want to get in the way of whatever's going on between an elephant dad bullpen somewhere else, because I have no ties here, and a rhinoceros, whatever. I'm just a number 8, stuck somewhere between like a fourth, fifth, or sixth dimensional by soul mia operette. So I'm just looking at the moment, although don't get me wrong, I mean, after whatever, there's most likely going to be a ninth, 10th, and 11th meeting, but dimensional meeting, but whatever. Still just an 8. Who knows to stay out of their way. Alright, so I'm watching this, and there's this woman, the most dangerous person in New York for me at the moment, one of the most dangerous women, most dangerous humans in the Big Apple for me, in all seriousness, look like this.
Just another example of people are on edge, people are acting out in very strange ways, and New York is not what it used to be.
Because it's a strap hanger, S, and then it's a TRAP, and it's hanging on, and it's vulnerable. I'm vulnerable, it's vulnerable. There's something bigger going on. And there's a war going, well, there's a whatever, that should not be named, but they call it a lot of things on the television, between bulls and rhinoceroses fighting on a game farm far, far away in more important people than myself. And so, what's local doesn't know. It watches something that I'm trying to speak, Big Apple. Sounds bananas to the horn. I know a para. So I don't know what tip line he picks up, but I'm pretty sure in his importance in the world, he'll get the message if I make the message. And I don't know what to say, but I'll just keep sampling the real time and what my real physics is going through in pain and what it looks like, because the anatomy's not supposed to function in this matter. I'm not supposed to be this size. So, and again, medic in the field knows that. So, that's why, I mean, again, I have fancy names. I just say field dressing, because it's like if you're like an open sore wound in the field, it's like tourniquet and get them to like stop bleeding first. I mean, I don't know, like how else to put that in context and perspective of respectable people. I did notice one of the gentlemen he's in charge of something. I don't know what. I don't know his name. I don't know. But I saw that at least he was doing vindication work, which was nice. Or at least I feel it's vindication work as a inclusive manner of being able to be heard and have one unity piece from one unit perspective, who can feel safe enough to speak their mind even in a changing situation. There are some people in this city, let's just say, not naming names, but they're performing acts in the most devious ways, preying upon and scamming people. I see hints of it here and there. Again, I don't know, where do you team up with, then are these people going to feel safe in the situation with you? I don't know. But there's a commercial on here that's really telling of a different level, or different dimension of training and whatnot, that some of the movie producer kids, some of the movie cinema kids know. They have a much more extensive language and vocabulary than myself. Like, if this was a thesis to impress the professor, I have a different situation. I impress the professor because my word count is so few. There are some people who have banked their entire life on professing and getting the highest word count. I am not one of them. Here's something, I don't know, again, the players, but they're saying tonight that there is an indictment on a federal level of someone in the Big Apple area, I believe. I'll replay it just to capture the exact words and not be misspoken. And then it goes into a new television program where the same color messengers as the man who was indicted make a mention of something being unsanctioned and they're not going to prison for whatever, just because. Now, again, these things are unknown. Like, I didn't learn what a sanction was. I'm grappling with it. Like, I'm trying my hardest in a peritricus kind of a way, in a capsid, just to look at like macro, micro, and nano level, and then perhaps whatever and however I work. Just an 8. So this is what's on the evening news.
Uber and Lyft are hoping to help. And New York's lieutenant governor is now facing federal charges.
Lieutenant governor. Again, I don't know who hires these people. I don't know how their criminally organized tree works. I don't have access to any of that stuff. I don't know if he's a good guy, if he thinks he's a good guy. There's been a lot of years in God Save the Queen where I'm in a borough, Boro, of Queens, being the head of this fish island I'm on in I so la mia, I so want to have performed correctly, but I'm in some kind of malformation with a higher organization that uses these phrases that the lower ward doesn't necessarily understand and sometimes mistakes, and then there becomes reputational strife. And again, the criminals, they've learned things. And at times it feels like they're using these tactics they've learned by other people's mistakes to purposely tread where they shouldn't be, or to change an outcome here or there. The Roman sports arena in the United States of America's corridor, I mean, they have really loud voices, and it's a recruiting and a solidarity network that concerns me, quite frankly, being that Mount Rushmore has a job to do, and they have to be comfortable enough to voice their concerns when there are, and not be knocked out of a communicative or communication perspective where they can act in accordance with what's needed, when it's needed, to prevent future problems, but also to keep some semblance of unity.
The accusations against him.
Now, who ready for the zoo? The season finale.
Oh, it happens to be today. I mentioned the zoo, and now all of a sudden a commercial comes from the other messengers about who's ready for the zoo. It has district, which I know the what's not me and the not them is always really curious on. That's one of their management words in however time stands still.
Abbott Elementary.
I lost Kenny. I lost a kid. I'm negligent.
You're supposed to be the born dependable one. This is an unsanctioned field trip. I'm not doing jail time for you. Abbott Elementary, tonight at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Oh, okay. So at Upper Ward of God Save the Queen, being that the Queen is either Elizabeth, Anne, or Victoria. One of the three. Two of those names, by the way, have no face whatsoever in this particular area. One does. And then who looks very different than those. So, again, between sanctions and unsanctions, it's interesting the messengers, what they admit they know in the most unusual TV spots. I didn't learn this in school, and I didn't go to a special war theater school. I don't even know what law school the U.S. attorneys go to, but apparently they know, and they don't really like to tell my level of human now that they got my story wrong. And don't you know, who did they decide to feature? I mean, in my Big Apple, where there's some apple turnover for page turners and Bibles by the side of the bed, they had, let's see, roast beef ball, which I know what that is, and Brady Bunch, but it's football to some other people, which gets confusing if you go into Latin America because it's different ball, but whatever. So I think pigskins is what they used to call them. So there's football to choose from, then there's the football, baseball, basketball, and then there's a hockey, but that's not a ball. But they could have picked hockey. And what did they go to voice their concerns at sports book, sports betting, sports league in some BET running themselves ragged, and this alpha is just like in some beta, and like, I just need a 6 foot over, like for real, like one that I can depend on and that I can call my own. Why is it I've got this situation where I've got a second 6 foot under, well now I've got 6 foot under and an under 6 foot in my vicinity that I didn't ask for and would never work for what I need.
That subway shooting hit especially close to home for the Brooklyn Nets. Many of the players were...
Whoa, now we have a county that no longer functions as king. We now have a degraded county that is now called Brooklyn, is what I've heard, but Brooklyn. And it no longer calls itself King County in the borough system of BORO. It's no longer called King. They never say that on the news. Makes you wonder what's going on in the wide world of connections with management. And here's the face of the messenger they decided to ask to speak on behalf of this horrific event.
We're practicing at the team's practice facility in Sunset Park, just minutes from the scene of the shooting. The Nets were getting ready for their play-in game tonight at the Barclays against the Cleveland Cavaliers when they got the news about the gunfire.
It's devastating to hear the sirens out front the practice facility and see so much commotion going on outside. You know, you hope and pray that for the best for everybody involved.
Did you guys find out on social media? Witness news throughout this evening. We are.
Now, are they told there are sanctions in place, or are they unsanctioned? Because I just learned that bit of intel on a commercial for Abbott Elementary, which I don't really know what that is, but I'm sure that in Great White Shark Tank with one seal they're balancing, I'm sure that they might know things that might mean something. I don't know. I sometimes accidentally make them more happy than and upset other apples in the apple cart. Now this is the real life guy. I do appreciate him sitting on the passenger side, not the driver's side, for Vindicated and whatever Dashboard Confessionals does in Elephant Dads and Rhinos on the game, whatever, of exotic animals. Again, I can see signatures, but I don't know, again, who. That's another whole, I'm just mentioning that I appreciate his unity of feeling comfortable enough to speak, because I know in the Big Apple there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it seems that crime's on the rise, which is even more frightening. They said that NYPD was handling their end of it, which they have umpteen. So then they got a call from President Joe Biden, which was nice. I see that Mayor Adams made some kind of video log that he got aired on the TV for unity pieces of, and it's frightening when the organized criminals are so organized that they make the professional league uncomfortable about speaking and coming forward. So you have to believe in something, and some level is still working. I know I, again, don't have many choices. What my problem at the moment is within the physics realm of parascience and parasite. Out of sight, out of mind, never for me. I'm always thinking about the void and the noid with this no ID program.
Knowing you have to get away, and you can't get out of a confined area. I really feel for them.
For 6 years, Joe Fox was the chief of the NYPD's Transit Bureau. He says today's attack preyed on the unease riders already feel on the subway.
People, they feel vulnerable, and they are vulnerable. Because, like in that case, I mean, until those doors open, those people were trapped in that car. And just imagine that feeling.
One video shows passengers moving away from the car where the attack occurred.
And again, I don't want to give legs to other things that are going on. But that's why I'm glad he's on his passenger side. And it looks for me like he's on his private video, so he can say where he'll allow his voice to be heard and for what purpose, rather than them just taking his voice and using it against or without his knowledge. there's just so many layers of this introduction of new technology and how to protect one's own testimony. Will it be considered a medical journal? I mean, it's personal journalism to oneself, self-directed. I'm hoping that it's hitting its, but how do I keep him safe if he's just one and I'm just one? All the things that I think about. Now I learned this term, which I've never heard of, shelter in place. It's like that's what I'm looking for, are these words that maybe that the others know, like reporters, it seems, in their journalism, and like they get the first call to the scene. They've learned over their careers this expansive vocabulary, this process that exists. Who in the system, like they've built their own, whether they meant to or not, their own like phone tree or contact list or faces and names and departmental, and like they can compartmentalize and reconstruct what things look like, which is really scary if you think of the Apple turnover process I'm in the middle of. But on the other hand, it's like I'm not that versed. I know I'm not that versed. That's why I said it. Io me io. I there's professionals that handle things. I'm just someone's number 8, and I don't know how my schedule got off with schedules and zookeepers that do exotic scheduling in like respectable ways for a respectable purpose. In God Save the Queen. But again, there's an us component of it that is a bridge between stuff in this time frame. And for me, the us looks like something in a Brady Bunch category, whether it's the zodiac correct timing for a Jason Bourne calendar, which not everybody goes off of a Jason Bourne calendar. They use different symbols around the world. So like again, in an us bridge, I don't know who's using what calendar system. Thank you. But there's a lot of moving pieces.
As soon as the incident happened, schools in the vicinity of Sunset Park were placed in shelter in place, meaning no one was allowed into or out of the buildings.
My grandmother had texted me, my family was texting me.
So again, I don't know if that was ever used, but I also don't know how to gain access to knowing that kind of thing. And in like an emergency phone tree system, nobody calls me that I know. Like, I made one emergency call once the night of the attack to Mike. I got him on the line, and then he hung up. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was him. I made the phone call. I don't know if it connected to him. I don't know if he was instructed to not take the phone call or not take any further action. I have no idea. This is how disgusting this has gotten. I'm just, like, my children are just the guy with the girl, and I'm the girl with the pearl earring. And there's something at The Hague already when I'm born with that painting. And there's a breeding schedule of I belong to something and someone. I don't know where it broke. I don't. But there's a lot that goes along with it. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.